Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Cigars and Syndications. Our goal here at Cigars and Syndications is to smoke cigars, teach you about cigars, and teach you about real estate. Please visit our website at www.albanyparkcapital.com. Hit the resources button, and you'll find a lot of articles that are going to educate you about real estate, as well as you can follow us on all the social media. For today, I am smoking a 1926 series Padron. It's a Churchill. It's a very spicy start. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, Robbie. Robbie, what do you think about the cigar?
I think the cigar is a great choice. It is a little bit on the lighter side. Has a really good earthy, woodsy draw to it. Maybe a little slight hint of cherry, but a really smooth, really excellent smoke.
Yeah, so this cigar was released in 2002, and it was released for Jose Padron's 75th birthday. Like I said, this is a Churchill, and it is a little bit of a lighter cigar. It's not a full body cigar, but considering, I had a salad for lunch today, so the lighter cigar is a little bit better for me.
Well, I'm excited about this smoke today, and we'll update you here in a little bit on how we're enjoying this Padron. Again, it's a Padron number one, natural.
So today we're going to talk about development, and it seems like a lot of people are interested in developing, whether they're developing their multifamily projects or they want to just, build a house from the ground up. And since we have a pretty extensive background in development, we thought that we would entertain everybody with some of the pitfalls of development and what they might look out for if they do decide to get into development. Now, there are actually four aspects of development that we're going to cover today. And again, we have an article on www.albanyparkcapital.com. Hit the resources button, and there is an article regarding development. So, development is broken up into two pieces: the horizontal development, which is all the underground work, the utilities, the land, the right of way, the entitlement, and then there's the vertical. So today we're just going to cover horizontal, and Robbie is going to start off with because Robbie's the expert in all the development area, much more than I am. Robbie, what do you see as what people should know about development?
Well, with any development, I think you have to start with the land itself. You have to take a really hard look at the location. Does it suit what you're intending to build there? Is it entitled? Are there other challenges that you need to rely on other professionals, such as architects and engineers, to help you work through them? Timing is a huge issue with the land, and understanding that timing, so that you as an investor can understand or at least have expectations for when you might see some returns.
So, Robbie, can you explain a little bit to our audience what entitlement is? A lot of people don't understand what that is.
Well, entitlement is the process in getting all of the permitting and all of the authorizations from all the jurisdictions to make sure that you can build what you intend to build on a given property.
And when you're going through that, what are some of the jurisdictions that might be involved? I know sometimes there can be a lot of them. I know we live in the city of Houston. The city of Houston will have its own permitting, but who else can be involved in this?
Well, you can get all of your utilities involved. You have different muds and water line issues. You'll have power issues, gas lines, several different jurisdiction and municipalities you'll have to work through to obtain the approval, prior to construction.
Yeah, and I know that some of the times when we actually looked at different pieces of plots of land, there was no water or sanitary available at that plot of land. So, what does somebody have to do in that case?
Well, in that case, you really have to do your due diligence. You might want to reach out to engineers to help you get those necessary approvals. And you want to proceed cautiously. You don't want to make an investment in a property that you don't know the timeline on getting these approvals, because they can hold up your project for months and even years.
The other issue that people face is just the land. And I know where we live in Harris County, lots of the land is very low lying and we have flood issues. So, what are some of the pitfalls that people can run into from a cost perspective alone?
Yes, I mean, in in the surrounding Houston areas, you have different flood plains that have different requirements. I mean, in some cases, you can lose up to 20% of your surface area to detention for flood control.
And not to mention having to raise that land. Sometimes you have to raise it 3 to 4 feet just because it's so low that the county is requiring it, and people forget to take that cost into account.
Yes, it can be very costly to raise your property, and in some cases, in sensitive areas, they will no longer let you bring in new fill. You can only use the fill from the detention that you dig on your own site.
Oh, I didn't know that. Um, and then the other issue that comes up with development that people don't realize is the utilities. Sometimes the utilities are not available, and we talked a little bit about it on the entitlement section. But utilities could be thousands of feet away, and that could be how costly.
Yes, hundreds of thousands of dollars. A lot of times, in the case of electricity, they'll bring power, but they'll only give you 900 feet. Well, if you're 3 or 4 thousand feet away, you can plan on spending $200,000 or $300,000 just to bring power to your site.
I know in one project that we were doing, the utilities that we had to connect to with the city of Houston, the sanitary line was actually much higher than was on the plans, and so therefore we had to reroute the sanitary line, and that was another $50,000.
Yeah, a lot of the unforeseen cost, and it's not even the cost because a lot of times they'll reimburse you if it's their mistake, but time is money, and sometimes it takes weeks and months to get the approvals, even in the event that someone else made the mistake and didn't document it correctly.
So I know that the other aspect of development that uh, people need to consider when they're getting into a project is the right of way. Can you tell us a little bit more about right of way?
So, Jay, the right of way, as it pertains to different projects, is how you have access to that particular site. I know that you had a problem with right of way on one of your projects recently.
Yeah, this was it was actually a gas station that we were developing, and the right of way, the driveway coming into the gas station, coming off of an exit ramp off of the tollway, the state of Texas, whose road it actually is, gave us right of way access, but the tollway authority denied us right of way access because they said that the exit is too close to the driveway, and that they felt that cars would wind up getting into accidents trying to enter into the gas station. So one of the issues that we had, and they actually never gave us that right of way, was that when cars are exiting off of the ramp from the tollway, they don't have a driveway to enter into the gas station. They actually have to go around the corner and then enter from that driveway.
Yeah, I've seen several sites have similar issues where they were too close to the intersection, and they would not allow for driveways, and therefore your right of way or access to the property was impeded.
And I actually had another story regarding the entitlement portion. When you are looking at the property and you get the survey of the property, the land, and you're trying to determine whether you want to build something on it or not, it's very important that you look at the survey, you look at the boundaries, and you look at any easements that are inside that land. One of the issues that we had when we were developing a retail center for a client was that he had a gas line running through the middle of the property, and that gas line was an active gas line, and so we could not build a structure on the gas line. We could build a parking lot on the gas line, and the gas company actually wanted these sniffers put in so that in the event of a gas leak, they would be alerted from underground that there's a gas leak, and they can come in and they can repair that gas leak. Well, that's an added cost. And if you don't know that there's a gas line running through the middle of the property, or you don't know what the requirements are going to be from the gas company, then you're going to be stuck with another $50,000 cost adding sniffers into the parking lot that you didn't previously budget for.
Yeah, I mean that brings up a really great point. Anytime you get involved in real estate deals, I mean the pay attention to all the detail on your surveys and your plats. Understand what stage it's in the platting process if it has not been platted, because sometimes those can take a year, 18 months just to get a plat and get it zoned for your type of project. Um, I don't know. Now we're probably almost into the second third of this cigar. Jay, how are you enjoying this Padron?
You know, you can never go wrong with the Padron, and I have a very interesting story about Padron. Right now, I'm getting kind of a walnut flavor in it, a little bit of a chocolate. It's still a little peppery, but I'm really enjoying the cigar considering I ate very light. And normally, when you smoke a full bodied cigar, you want to eat a nice meal. I had a salad, like I said, and this is complementing it really well.
Yeah, I'm picking up on a lot of those same. I'm getting some good spices, a little nuttiness, a little chocolate. It is a really good smoke. Super smooth, and I wouldn't expect any less from Padron. What story do you have for us for about Padron cigars?
So back in December 2014, I was in Chicago and I attended a event at one of my friends. He owns a cigar shop in Chicago called Casa de Monte Cristo. It's in Countryside, Illinois. And if you haven't been to Casa de Monte Cristo, go see Sammy. The guy knows everything there is to know about cigars. Anyway, they had an event there. It was a Padron event. And so I went to this event, and they basically what they do is they cater food from outside and they pair it with cigars, and they paired it with Padron cigars. So I'm sitting over here at this table and I'm eating my steak, and a gentleman joins me and he says, "Hey, how are you? Where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I live in Houston. I grew up in Chicago. I'm here visiting my family, and I come here to buy cigars, and I came here for the event." And he goes, "Oh, where do you live?" And I said, "Well, I live in Albany Park, on the northwest side of Chicago." And he was kind of perplexed, and he said, "Well, you must pass 100 cigar shops on the way to here. Why do you come here?" And I said, "Well, I really like Sammy. Sammy really knows my palate. He understands the cigars. He understands what I like. He's never wrong. And on top of that, they have these hard to find vintage cigars that nobody else has. I mean, you can't buy them anywhere else." And so, just out of courtesy, I was like, "Well, what brings you here?" He goes, "Oh, I'm George Padron. This is my event." And if you've never seen my jaw drop, I was just like,
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good story.
so I know he probably doesn't remember me, but I do have a photo, and we'll put it up on our website, or we'll put it up on with this podcast. There is a picture of me and George Padron to show that I actually did meet George Padron.
Well, man, Jay, that's an awesome story. I can't believe that you actually got to sit down and meet with him and talk to him, and the best part is you had no idea who it was.
Yeah, that was a really good. That was a very interesting meeting with George Padron. Um, Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Cigars and Syndications. We talked about horizontal development. There's a lot of terminology. There's a lot of interesting information. There's a lot to know. And we'll be working on vertical development in the future. Robbie?
Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed episode 5. Hope everybody got a little education, and hope everybody was lighting up their favorite cigar and enjoying along with us. Hope to see you guys soon. Episode 6 coming up. Just look us up on albanyparkcapital.com. Leave any comments that you might want to, and check out all our social media.
Have a good day.